Okay. Okay, so hi everyone. So I'm Olivia. Together with me is Sandra. We are from the National Trades Union Congress under the Freelancing and Self-Employed Union. So in short, UFSE. So who are we? So we are at the Okay, so who are we? We are at the heart of our labor movement, comprises 59 affiliated unions, 5 affiliated associations, 12 social enterprises, and 6 related organizations. So we actually strive to help workers of all color ages and nationalities in employment through better jobs and a better living through higher wages. So for our union, we actually represent freelancer and SEP, self-employed person, in terms of wages, welfare, and work prospect. We also work closely with relevant government agency, SEP community groups, and platform intermediaries to actually help freelancer upskill, strengthen income security as well as their safety and health. So we actually have 5 associations under U FSE. Firstly, National Instructors and Coaches Association, National Delivery Champions Association, National Private Hire Vehicles Association, Visual Audio Creative Content Professionals Association, lastly, National Taxi Association. So just a disclaimer, we are not legal advisor, so please approach a professional legal advisor if you require any legal assistance. So our content today will be protecting yourself with contract, and Sandra will be covering intellectual property law. So freelancer, there's actually a lot of name to it. Can call freelancer, self-employed person, or individual contractor. But in legal term, MOM actually calls it own account worker. So freelancer can also protect yourself with a contract. It can be verbal or written. However, a written contract is mostly ideal if any case of a dispute. So there are two kinds of contract of service and a contract for service. So the contract of service are those with employment contract, typically for full-timer and part-timer. So this type of contract has employer and employee relationship, and they also have key employment terms, which is actually stated in the contract, and they're also covered by Employment Act in the MOM website. So for contract for service, it only applies when an individual is sourced by someone or company to do a certain project. It's a client contractor relationship, and they are not covered by Employment Act. So they are also covered by WICA, Work Injury Compensation Act. So next. Yeah, so these are some of the key engagement terms in a contract that's crucial as a freelancer. So in order to actually protect yourself, you can include contracting details, deliverables, and fee payment, which I will actually go into details later, variation of terms, termination and postponement of project. So for example, what's the time period to actually inform either party if one decide to terminate the project? Or for postponement of a project, how many times do you actually allow the postponement to happen? Maybe 2 or 3 times. So if actually more than that, are you willing to actually want the client to actually pay you a certain amount of money? And I will also be covering dispute resolution, and lastly the additional mutually agreed terms. So you can actually scan this QR code to actually take a look at the key the contract terms, the template for SEPs. So for deliverables and fee payment, terms such as method of charging, it can be hourly or fixed rate for the project. You would also have to determine which method is better or earns more. So it varies according to the project you are doing. So if it is a major project, probably a fixed rate may be higher than a hourly rate. As for payment milestone, it can be paid after the completion of the project or through installment. If it stretches for about 4 months, then it is ideal for them to actually pay you monthly. So this manner, you can actually protect yourself. In any case, the client may decide not to pay you after you have deliver your works at the end of the project. And it is also important to actually issue an invoice for delivered services or periodic payments for services rendered. Also, how many times do you allow for changes to your work? So for example, like more than 2 times, are you gonna charge at a fee for changes? So always include the payment of service. If your service requires you to actually travel around, example filming, so do factor in traveling expenses and the rental of items. So next, restraint of trade. So the hirer may be concerned that you might take their clients or compete with their business during the contracted period or for a period of time after contract ends. So if so it is usually a specified period which you cannot trade with the hirer's client. In short, it is also to restrict you from entering into contract with other client. So my last point, dispute resolution. So an individual can actually go to these three options. So for tripartite for dispute management, two parties must actually mutually agree to this mediation service. And secondly, there's also Law Society of Singapore where the claim is 250K and below. So a senior mediator will be appointed to mediate the dispute. Lastly, will be a small claims tribunal. You can actually file a claim there, and then there will be a consultation. Then lastly will be the hearing. So claims not exceeding 20K. So you can actually scan the QR code to actually understand more on this. Yeah, so I actually pause here for a while. Okay, so for suggested contracting practices, so some key pointers, always discuss and document your key employment terms. So as a freelancer, you can also negotiate your terms. Not only the hirer has the upper hand. So second point, also to sign off on the contract and to always keep a copy of the contract. So this is important since contract is a legally binding document between two parties. So some key question to ponder for the restraint of trade. Does the contract actually include this clause? Are you able to actually seek other business opportunity during this period while you're actually working for the current project? And if the hirer wants to own the intellectual property you create, is this specifically provided in the contract? So if not, then are you able to actually negotiate on the terms with the hirer? Okay, now I'll hand over to Sandra for intellectual property laws.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just to check, can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I'll just be sharing just some basics of intellectual property law and how it affects you as a freelance creative creator. Yeah, so actually, what is intellectual property? So intellectual property laws recognize that creators have the right to protect their work. So there are various types of IP. So there are patents, inventions, trademark, and copyright. So today I'll just go a bit into what is copyright. Yeah, so you can see that it is actually a type of intellectual property that protects. Sorry, previous slide, please. Yeah. So a type. Copyright is actually a type of intellectual property that exists as soon as a work is created. Yeah, it exists to protect the creations of individuals. Next slide. Yeah. So what does it protect? So it actually protects various types of work. So it protects like novels, your computer programs, plays, films, music, photographs, and paintings. So when you have the copyright to any of these works, you will control the usage and commercial exploitation of these works, meaning that you have the right to prevent others from reproducing, publishing, performing, and communicating to the public to not exploit your work. Yeah, so you have the right to your works. Yeah, some key features of copyright is that it only protects the expression of ideas in tangible forms. So ideas alone cannot be protected. So let's say you went for a coffee with a friend to tell them your new game development idea. Actually, the ideas won't be a copyright lah. So you have to have something written down. So copyright ownership only exists for a certain duration of time. So there are different times for different types of work. So you can actually read up more on IPOS, so it's Intellectual Property Office of Singapore. Yeah. So thirdly, it is like a physical property that you can lease out or you can sell it. Yeah. So over here, it's just a quick note saying that actually in the event that you might have a dispute of copyright with, let's say, either your buyers or the public, always keep records of your creations, especially when it has been created. Yeah, this will help protect you if in the case that you have to go to court to prove for copyright infringement. Okay, so I've spoken about what is copyright, some some key features of copyright. So actually, there has been there's going to be some upcoming changes to the copyright law that will help better protect content creators and those who deal with content. Yeah. So next page. So there are a few changes, but this is the most uh the one that affects creators the most. So firstly, it will be the right to be identified and reward. So for creators and performers, so when people use your content either in public or online, they would actually need to credit your works shared. And this will help to build reputation as well as continue to reward creators and commercialize your future works. So the second would be the default ownership of commission works. So in the past, when your work is being commissioned, actually the default ownership of the work actually lies in the commissioner. So with this new updated law, so creators of photographs, portraits, engravings, sound recordings, and films, the default will be the first owner of copyright will be will be with the creator unless prescribed by the contract. Yeah, so if the contract doesn't stipulate who owns the copyright, the creator will own the copyright. Yeah, so this is just the QR code to some of the upcoming changes by IPOS. Yeah, they do have a lot of useful resources as well to help if you want to know more about other IP elements like trademarks and patents. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this is the end of the sharing by Olivia and I. So you can just scan on the left to find out more about the things we do at U FSE. So that's the Freelancers and Self-Employed Unit, as well as we do encourage everyone to follow our Facebook as we often post resources as well as events that we organize. Yep. Yep. So if you have any inquiries, do feel free to email us and then keep in contact with us through our Facebook page. Yep. So I'll just thank you to SGGA for inviting NTUC U FSE to just share just a quick glimpse into what you have to look out for as a freelancer in the games industry.
Thank you, everyone.
Oops, sorry, I was muted. Yes, thank you so much for sharing. I've actually shared the UFSC website link in our comments, as well as the resources, the two resources that you shared with me prior to the event. I think we do have questions, so give me a moment. There's someone who's asking, like, if there's dispute between a local freelancer and an overseas client, is this something that is within your purview? Are you all able to help dispute, or?
Olivia, maybe I take this question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so actually there are resources. So for international clients, there's actually the IIM. So I think it stands for the international. mediators. Okay, hang on, I'm trying to find the link. But basically, they are mediating. Okay, they are the International Institute of Mediators, short for IIM. Let me find the link to share. But so basically, they do have mediation services that could help you link up to try to bridge the gap, especially when you are dealing with overseas clients. Yeah, but but I do want to remind that when you do contract with overseas clients, do really check the terms of your contract and to see where is the contract based in. So let's say if the law is they are like basing it on the legislation overseas, then the freelancer would have to do his or her due diligence to do check the terms carefully lah. Yeah. So having a good contract would be a way to prevent future potential contractual disputes. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yep. I think in general, like with anybody, whether or not it's an overseas client or any local organization here, the contractual terms and obligations is very important. Always check your contracts. All right. Next thing is, must the freelancer be like an NTUC member to qualify for UFSC's assistance?
Okay, so this is a two-part question. So we do have a lot of resources that we want to help all freelancers out there. But as a NTUC UFSE member, you have a special set of resources that provided to you. So this can range from resources in terms of financial aid, but there are also more connections in terms of work opportunities. So maybe you can get Olivia to jump to the slide where we have our different associations. So just now Olivia actually shared we have 5 different associations that actually represent different groups of individuals. So for example, if you are in VICPA, so that stands for the Visual Audio Creative Content Professionals, that actually maybe some individuals in the gaming industry might actually fall under in terms of, let's say you have you're like a audio specialist. Yeah, you can actually fall under the purview of VICPA. So when you join the associations that represent the specific occupations, they're actually more occupation and profession relevant support. So example, like I bring attention to NICA. So as a national as part of NICA, so which is the National Instructors and Coaches Association, the help provided would be more relevant, can be in terms of trainings or even link ups with other trainers. Yeah.
So also just to jump in, so relating to that question earlier, so as a union member, you can also have this workplace advisory where you can actually speak to the TADM personnel lah. Yeah, if there's any payment issue.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. I think the last question are small startup owners considered self-employed or freelancers?
So, so let's say I think it depends on your business registration. But let's say if you are a startup business, but you are one man show, then I think we will consider you as a self-employed person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I think we've overran a bit, so sorry about that. And that's all the questions for now. If you guys need any more assistance from Olivia and Sandra here, please feel free to contact them. I've dropped the link to their website in the comments. So yes, thank you once again for sharing. It's a really useful and insightful session, especially like with all the resources and guides. So yes, thank you both so much.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.